Let's take a trip into the mind and lifestyle of an ADD boat builder. My name is James Davis Lovelace. I go by Davis. I'm originally from Jackson, Mississippi. I currently live in Amory, Mississippi. Went to Mississippi State University and got a degree in forestry and wildlife management. I'm a registered forester and an associate wildlife biologist. Canoe building came from one day. My father was at a doctor's office and someone gave him an issue of Wooden Boat magazine, and within that magazine was an article about building cedar strip canoes. He came home, he gave it to me, and he said, "Here, read this, boy." So I read it, and he said, "What do you think about that?" I said, "Man, that's pretty cool, Pop." And he said, "You think we can do that?" And I said, "Well, yeah. Even to a 12-year-old, it seems simple enough." So within a week, we had the wood and the plans, and he went and bought a table saw from a neighbor that weighed a rolling ton, and we were building a boat. From then on, it's grown. We've just done it ever since. There were a couple of years breaks, at least for me anyway, while I was in college. Wasn't at home a whole lot. Helped Dad out as much as I could. I built a 19-foot canoe as a graduation present to myself. I paddled that canoe down the Pearl River from Jackson, Mississippi to Picayune, Mississippi, which, if you are familiar with the way the state of Mississippi is shaped, comes down the Mississippi River and then it cuts over, and it cuts down like that. Well, that little river right there, that's the Pearl River, and it flows out into the Gulf of Mexico as well. I've always looked at building canoes as a legacy. It's something that my father passed on to me, but what is really cool about that whole situation is the fact that it's not necessarily something that my father taught me as much as it is that it's something that we learned together. And since then, I've actually passed it on to a cousin out in Lubbock, Texas, a nephew who's in Dallas, Texas. Paddle building is another thing. I mean, what use is a canoe if a man doesn't have a paddle up a creek, right? So anyway, I'm going to show you a couple of things that I also do, some paddles and whatnot. You see the canoe hanging behind me. That one actually hung in the rafters of an old log cabin that was built in the 20s where my wife and I got married. Hung up there on our wedding day, and she's told me under no uncertain terms am I ever going to sell that canoe. So there's that. But anyway, let's take a look. These are some paddles that I built. They are actually bent shaft paddles. This one is a 6 degree. You can see the bend, how the wood is laminated. This one is a 4 degree. You can tell it's not near as much, but I tell you what, it really helps you grab some water. These are 2 beaver tail straight blade paddles that I'm currently working on. As you can see, I got some Play-Doh down there on the end. So it's what I use to make a dam, make a resin tip, so it gives it some strength if you drop it. I also build these little crosses. Being the job that I'm in, I get a lot of slabs that come from a sawmill, and it just seemed natural. Make little crosses out of them and cut them out and paint them, sell them. Actually, I give more of them away than I sell. Here's another one that's kind of unique. Thinking about making that one look like an alligator head. Yeah, do you see it? That right there is actually the 19-foot canoe that I sailed down the Pearl River in. It is, however, currently in disrepair, and I've got to do some work on it. That's why it's in here drying out. I'm really kind of disgusted about that, but sometimes life just grabs a hold of you. So look, pan at the shop. There's not much here. That's Max, my buddy. He actually went down the river with me. And that's how it is, man. Also, you see this here is some of the plans. These are actually the exact plans that I used to build that canoe. There's several other pages to it, but that's the grand overview. This is actually a current paddle that I'm working on right now. I'll show you the inside of this canoe. did the checkerboard look on the seats there. But anyway, that's kind of me in a nutshell. I don't know if you can really capture me in a nutshell. I love to hunt and fish. Growing up doing it. Fishing is really my passion. As far as all that goes, canoeing, done it as long as I can remember. Some of my earliest childhood memories were actually in a canoe. I think my parents took me at like less than a year old on my first canoe trip with their Sunday school class. And then as I got older, just, Boy Scouts and then my own adventures. And, life is good, man. Spend it on the water.